Today, I would like to illuminate on this topic that I'm sure every single one of you have experienced. It goes from the gross to the most subtle of levels. And this is injustice. Today, all of us will hold this space and light. Together we join. Together we infuse our higher intentions to illuminate, to liberate all the distortions of this consciousness, which is injustice. If we start from a 3D reality, you can create right now the thickest book ever with stories to speak about, which are creating injustice towards humanity, towards the individual from many aspects, violating human rights, manipulating, lying, stealing, damaging, this goes through every single layer that's happening right now on this planet. Suppressing the voice of humanity, restricting our freedom from many, many aspects. Sometimes feeling helpless, voiceless. And this is not new, by the way. This is not new at all. Humanity has been experiencing this for thousands of years. But now, since more and more awakened souls are having a wider ability to see what's happening, it is creating huge pain. Cannot deny that. And that's on a collective level. Then there is all of you individual beings who have your own individual stories, what you have been experiencing as unfair, unjust, wrong, judged, blamed. You have your individual life experience. And we are all facing some very harsh reality, because it is very clear to see that the leaders of the world have been the most corrupt. Who is there to trust? Who is there to make you feel safe in this world? Who has created this man-made law, which is so corrupt? This is why so many people in the world right now, they are going through very deep depressions. And of course, we are here to strengthen ourselves. That's why we meet together. This is why we are here to connect with other beings alike, to remind ourselves that yes, it is hard. Sometimes it's hard. Can't deny that, and it must be acknowledged. Unless it becomes a spiritual bypass, we don't want to go there. We don't want to keep bypassing. We don't want to get sucked into these lower consciousness, of course. But as a step, it's always important to acknowledge what is here on this dimension too. And to discern what is real and what is an illusion. And apart from your individual life experience that is seen on this physical reality, there is always also injustice through your astral body, because your astral body is the one that has been so deeply manipulated through artificial machinery, artificial negative intelligence, being put implants with certain programming, just like, if this is all new to you, just think of a computer that is right in front of you, how it can be hacked and placed viruses in it. It's exactly the same way. And your astral body is the one, the emotional body is the one that has been mainly manipulated big time. For the ones aware, this can create very deep pain. So this is why such great healing is taking place right now. It goes even deeper than that. It goes deeper right in and into your soul, because also your soul has had a certain manipulation taking place without you knowing, because you're just being born with it all. And this deeper pain is the initial reversal what created separation from your soul, from your consciousness, from your God self. So it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's all unjust. So injustice, of course, you can take it as deep as you have access to take it deep. There is a lot of healing, but also a lot of forgiveness to do. The reason we focus on forgiveness is because it's the only way for us to liberate ourselves from this burden. Forgiveness helps us to transcend the distorted or negative attempts. It's quite unjust for us as multidimensional beings to be aware of the crisp of the outer layer compared to whom we truly are. You could call that unfair, wrong. So as human beings, we're digesting a lot. You know, as you become more and more aware, you get to see and discern what's really going on. So I wanted to give you a broader view where injustice is present, the unfairness. And even now, as we are illuminating all these, you could say, you know, we're illuminating bubbles, entities of negativity. Even notice how it feels inside you. You know, there's a certain like density and contraction or a certain heaviness in some parts of you. And it is exactly that which I would like to illuminate so that we can discharge. Out of your system. And the way we can do this is to remember there is this law of one. And the law of one is the law that is in resonance with your God self within you. It's in resonance with your open heart and soul. It's in resonance with the kindness and loving being that you naturally are. So when we align ourselves with the one is the absolute nature. When we align ourselves with that, we start to transcend. We transcend. And transcendence is, it can be quite hard as a practice, because transcendence is meeting that energy and transmuting it. in a way, it's like walking right in and through it. There is a real truthfulness in that, of meeting that as it is, but really and truly, you could say, from your heart and soul. And by meeting that truly, or knowing it without denial or without running away from it or prolonging to meet it, then this is where we truthfully start moving right through these obstacles. And every time we discharge these distortions, because even if you're holding the pain because of injustice, you're still holding it, isn't it? You're still resonating on it. And of course, if you resonate on this, there's, you're not doing something wrong. It's a process of many deep layers we're going through. Okay, so don't be hard on yourself if you still say, oh, I still feel this anger or this frustration because that was not right and this is not right. Of course you're going to feel these energies, of course. But every time they come into your field, please meet them. Don't be afraid. Meet them intimately. Don't be afraid. Because once you meet intimately, this is how you transcend. Or else I really resonate by using this word, liberate. You're a liberated layer, no matter how many layers you liberate. And to counterbalance, because you don't want to be held in suffering. You don't want to be held in pain. You don't want that. You need to take care of yourself. And you need to take care of yourself by practicing the law of one. And how do we practice the law of one? Practicing is different than understanding or reading about something, right? Practice is when you bring that knowledge or whatever you have read or heard, you bring it into your action. Yeah? So practicing unity consciousness is a way to counterbalance. Practicing unity consciousness will help you transmute that negative influence. And it's still a negative influence if you're victimizing yourself. Oh, look what has been happening to me. That's victimizing yourself. It's not a self-loving practice, right? So practicing loving yourself. How about that? Stepping out of victimhood consciousness. But you don't step out by leaving it aside. You transmute it. You see yourself victimizing yourself. And you transform that, you transmute that into a practice of loving yourself. Now, loving yourself doesn't mean does not only mean going into your bath at home and putting on candles and putting on salts and nurturing yourself. That's great too. Loving yourself in that way is great too. But also watch your thoughts. Watch what the thoughts are saying about you. And it's fine if they're saying things in a not loving way, but just be aware of that so you don't have to take that on or believe in it. That's also loving yourself. Respecting yourself. Not being hard on yourself. Not judging yourself for feeling in certain ways. Or why these things are happening to me, to you. You know, you start, this is why when you practice the law of one, through many various practices, we're going through them right now, you gain your power. Yes, you gain your power to transmute. You walk right in and through. Another practice, how about loving others? Loving others. Loving others with their differences. It's quite a practice in itself, because sometimes we can be quite strong in our identities. So loving others the way they act, the way they are, what they believe, just having this compassionate seeing through the other, seeing through certain limitations. And at least if it's someone that has done you harm, of course, there's a certain common sense here to keep your distance if things, cannot be resolved. But inside of you, you can still practice forgiveness so that you can somehow still find some love within you towards that other. That's the practice. Another practice of the law of one is loving the earth and nature. It can be an easy one for most of you because you're already so conscious and connected with this earth and its nature within it. But sometimes also there can be someone unconscious damage being made as well to our earth and nature, and to find this deepening practice that comes from your heart and soul to transmute any damages that have been made on earth by replacing that, rebalancing that, by sharing your heart and soul, by taking care of this earth in the best ways you can, right? In the best ways you can. Another practice to support you during these times is being of service to others. Now, being of service to others, it does not mean you have to teach meditation or teach yoga. It doesn't have to be something spiritual. Don't limit yourself only in that way. Practicing service to others can be anything which is in alignment with your higher heart and soul. It can be anything. So don't limit yourself in any way. Just take a few moments to even, give a wider space in your present now of the possibilities, of all the possibilities, how you can practice service to others. So you see here what we're speaking of, the law of one practices are a way for you to mature into your higher self. Yeah, it's a way to embody your higher self right here and now by infusing your higher self and acting with these various practices. So instead of victimizing yourself, blaming, judging, hating yourself for what you're going through or what you've been through, whatsoever, you know that you have a choice, isn't it? You have a choice to transmute that, to practice service to others instead of blaming yourself, as an example. Another practice is consciousness expansion. When we're limiting ourselves, what happens? You feel contracted, you feel pressure, you feel dense. When fear comes, when anger comes, when injustice and pain and suffering, you feel yourself contracting, isn't it? So a way to counterbalance that, practice consciousness expansion. Do some pranayama, some kriya, some practices where you can, really take in this life force energy and even practice slowing down, coming closer to this present now. When you slow down, your consciousness expands. Yeah, so when you feel tight, there are various practices that you can visualize. You can connect with nature, you can connect with the planet, you can also connect with the galaxy. It depends, of course, on your capacity to expand your consciousness. And that transmutes, counterbalances. So as you see, there are various ways how we can embody our higher selves, heart, soul, divine essence, and bring all of this into practice. Discharging the densities, the programs, the pains, the injustice itself.